justice for all.
Welcome, everybody, to the September 3rd meeting. Welcome back from the summer. Do we have any reports from this end?
None here.
Okay, so I'm going to fill you guys up with recreation information here. So the pool is still going to be open this weekend from 10 to 8 p.m. on both days, but then we'll be emptying it out, cleaning it up, and getting ready for the next year. So this is your last weekend to enjoy it. We're also going to have our last concert in the park at Pearson Park, and a group called the Bookends will be playing at 7 to 9 p.m. Thursday night, September 5th. They do 60s and 70s music. And I also want to remind you that there's a village-wide tag sale on Saturday, September 21st, 10 to 5 p.m. The rain date will be the following Sunday, September 22nd. If you're still interested, you can still get onto the map, but you need to contact the rec department by phone or on their email address, ttrec@aol.com. So far, I think we have a little over 20 people signed up for that. So we're on our way. Thank you.
Anybody on this side?
I do. Just want to mention that as in years past, the Tarrytown Fire Department will host a 9/11 ceremony at Patriots Park, and this year it will be held on Sunday, September 8th at 9 a.m. Mr. Mayor?
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, just one thing from the Transportation Council. As always, please remember schools are open, so please drive carefully, watch the crosswalks, obey those stop school buses. Again, our children and our grandchildren are very precious to us. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Carrie, anything on that end?
Yes, it's actually going on in Sleepy Hollow, but this weekend, September 7th, is the 20th anniversary party for J.P. Doyle's. So Tarrytown, Sleepy Hollow, we've all spent a lot of time in that wonderful institution, so let's go celebrate. Had one or two beers in that place, so anyway, it's be fun.
And I think Saturday is also the celebration of, one of the part of the celebration of the 200th anniversary of this Washington Irving sketchbook, and there'll be reading in
Oh, is
Patriots
that part
Park.
of Lit Fest?
Wait, let me
Yeah,
see.
part of
haven't
Lit
seen
Fest.
that.
On my calendar.
Yeah. It's Saturday at noon or something like that?
That's what I recall.
Yeah.
I should have it in the calendar. I don't. We should find out.
Okay, so I believe it's.
And I have one thing which is coming up at the end of September, September 28th, is the Household Recycling Day drop-off day, but this one's not down in Yonkers, it's at FDR State Park. And you should go on the Westchester County, their website, westchestergov.com. They take all kinds of stuff, and at least the one that they did at the Murph in Yonkers, it's a very smooth operation, doesn't take long, and they take just about anything that otherwise can't be taken by the DPW. So batteries, propane tanks, flammable liquids, all kinds of stuff. So, paint. Well, paint, regular paint, dry paint, yeah. But look at the list. There are some no, actually, they don't take paint.
The paint has to be dried
They
and
don't
thrown
take
out with the
paint.
garbage.
Right,
Correct.
paint goes with garbage, but
Yep.
it has to be dried out. Right?
Correct.
Oil paint too?
All paint.
Yeah, as long as it's dry. They'll take anything, yeah. And you can't take motor oil, you can't take cell phones and phones, but if they do it as well as they did it down in Yonkers, it's really easy to do. But this is up in FDR State Park in Yorktown. There's no changes or additions to the agenda other than we will be going into executive session following the end of the public meeting. Richard, you have a report?
Yes, sir. First, just a quick heads up to the board. The developers of Artis, the senior care facility, which has been working through the planning board, will be appearing at the September 16th board meeting, just to give a quick update to the board on where that
That's a
application.
proposal before.
Proposal currently
119?
before the planning board for a change, I believe it's a zoning text amendment.
Yeah, an overlay zone to allow for Alzheimer care facility.
Along the 119
Oh,
corridor.
great.
This is at the.
It's
where
currently
where
before the
Columbia-
planning-
Next
oh.
door to the Columbia.
Doctors, yeah.
Before, but
Clinic.
right next to the Columbia Doctors
Right.
facility, correct. So they're going to give a quick update on that.
Okay.
The board asked us to proceed with the pathway in Wilson Park to connect the ridge pathway down
Right.
to the rail pathway. So we're going to try to set up a meeting with the staff and
To
you
look at
and
that.
Trustee Brown. And was there anybody else, maybe, is there anybody else besides staff and you that you need there? I don't think so, but,
No,
okay.
I mean, it's just a question of laying out where it would go.
Exactly.
When it would take.
Does the board want us to have George Janes here for continued discussion on the station overlay zone at the September 11th work session? I mean, I think it's ready to come back.
Are
We
they ready to
can,
go? Then we should.
we can have him here, so yes.
Okay.
Okay. An update on the Tarrytown Lakes. We did have an assessment of the condition of the lakes. And Bobby, we got an evaluation of where the weeds are very heavy in both lakes. So they gave us a map. I have to call and get some update from them on that. But there will be some, I think they're going to recommend some weeding in the lakes. I have to get a formal, a more precise proposal from them.
Did we,
In-
did we end up harvesting any this year?
Not,
No,
not yet.
this year.
We paid them to do to go on both lakes and do an evaluation. Now I have to talk to them about it. So I'm going to bring it back to the next work session.
And I did notice a couple of weeks ago, it seemed better than I recalled earlier in the summer.
He said a lot of the coontail weed that's in the lakes has died off.
Mhm.
So that makes it seem less
Right.
crowded. But then you end up with the,
Something else goes
the
up.
dead organic matter on the bottom
Right,
of the
right,
lake,
of
so it
course.
becomes a
That's the
problem.
And tomorrow they're treating it for the algae?
Exactly right. So tomorrow is the bioblast, the beginning of the bioblast treatment in the upper lake. So Blue Lake Solutions will have their team out there and start circulating the treatment, the organic treatment to the upper lake.
That's not the copper.
That's
That's
not
not
the,
the copper.
that's not the copper
That's
sulfate,
another-
but I did ask the water department to see if they're going to be applying another treatment of copper sulfate to the big lake,
Mhm.
because it's been a very hot summer, and we did
Yeah.
have some problems with algae last year.
Yeah.
We are proceeding with the weeding along the Riverwalk. That should start Thursday or Friday of next week, so it'll be a 4-day hit.
Mhm.
They're going to come in with a crew, a larger crew of 8 to 10 people. They're going to, let's see, we're also trying to look at the railing around the Major Andre Capture statue, because that was one of the things that we really wanted to focus on with the completion of the projects
Mhm.
to improve Patriots Park. If you go out then
Oh,
and look
Patriots-
at
oh,
Patriots
yeah, oh,
Park.
I thought you were talking about the weeding on.
No.
That's-
The
that's
weeding on the
confused.
Riverwalk is taking place next
Go to
week.
the outflow of the.
No,
Andre
I've got a
Brooke,
whole
there was
list of
something I-
things, sorry about that.
Okay.
The columns on the statue
Right,
memorial are extremely rusted out.
right.
So we're looking to try to get those replaced at a standard that is reasonable,
Right.
high, of quality but reasonable price.
Right,
So we're
right.
trying to work
They
on that.
can't be restored, they have to replace them.
What's there is rusted out.
Question whether you can reproduce them, I think, is gonna be the issue.
That's what they're trying to do.
Right.
So we're gonna meet with- We're going to meet
Cast
with
iron or
Cedar
cast
Hills Landscaping and their metal worker, probably sometime next week. So executive session on a personnel matter, also executive session on a matter of real estate. And Kathy, I think you also, did we have a thing we had to discuss with the board on another real estate negotiation?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay, and, let's see, so Riverwalk weeding. Just a quick update for the board and the public. The village has been contacted by residents of Sleepy Hollow Gardens about the post office's suspension of mail delivery to
Certain
Sleepy.
sections of it?
Well, they said 4 or 5 sections have delivery shut down because of nuisance dogs and dogs that have bitten
Carriers.
carriers. So we're trying to see if we can arrange a meeting with our federal representatives, Nita Lowy, and representatives from the post office, and hopefully someone from the management company at
I
Sleepy
would
Hollow
assume
Gardens to
that's
see if we
critical
can.
to have somebody for the management.
Yes,
company,
to
right?
see if we can work something out to get the mail service restored, because there are people who are elderly and disabled who are unable to get.
What does the post office do? They just hold the mail for the whole place?
They've
Or for the
They've
places where
circulated
they want to-
letters, which apparently tells people that they can go pick up the mail at the post office themselves, which is really, I think, extreme. you know, I would think that they would suspend the delivery to the units in question
Right.
that are, where there's dogs that are
Right.
a hazard to
Problem,
their,
right.
so they're looking at some alternatives, but we're gonna have to try to see if we can work with them in the
And it's been going on for a couple of weeks
Congresswoman
now,
Lowy's
right?
office. It's been going on for, I don't have a date, but it seems like it's been going on about 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah,
Are
like
these
somewhere early in August was the
dogs?
first I heard some.
What's that?
Are these
Yeah.
resident-owned dogs, or could they
They're
be stray
resident-owned
dogs?
dogs,
Are they resident-owned dogs?
yeah.
And I think the management company has to crack down on it.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well,
Well,
yes,
that's-
it would be a danger to everybody, not only
Yeah.
the post office.
That's part of it. You know, I
postal
think they
worker.
may have, I don't know all the details because
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to the management company, but, you know, there are provisions in their leases that say no dogs,
Right. No dogs at all.
no dogs.
Oh,
But these people have found ways to work around those, legally work around those rules, so.
Okay. No, we'll find out. They're big dogs too. But I don't know. All right. Our first order of business is a public hearing on the rezoning of Lot 37, South Depot Plaza. I'll take a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There's no one here from the public, but we want to continue the public hearing until the next meeting, till September 16th, 2009. Can I have a motion to continue the public hearing to Monday, September 16th?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Again, there's no members of the public to address the board on agenda items, so we'll move on. Fire Department membership changes. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Tarrytown does hereby approve the following Fire Department membership changes recommended at the August 20th, 2019 Board of Fire Warriors meeting. Members, Christopher Murray has been approved for out-of-town membership at Riverside Hose, and David Goldstein has been approved as a driver and pump operator for Marine 5. Motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
aye.
Appointment of intermediate clerk. Be resolved that the Board of Trustees for the Building Department and DPW. Be resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Tarrytown does hereby authorize the appointment of Justin Hoyt of Tarrytown, New York as intermediate clerk for the Building Department and DPW of the Village of Tarrytown at an annual salary of $49,849. Step 1, and other benefits as provided for in the contract between the village and the CSEA, effective on Wednesday, September 4th, 2019. This appointment is made from eligible list number 02-100 and is subject to the provisions of civil service rules and regulations.
So
So,
moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to recuse myself from this appointment.
I thought so. Appointment of the
You
laborer.
might say, my family said that it's not nice that I always say no to him. I always
Yeah,
say
yeah.
no and he comes up, so I'm not going to do that this time, so I'll vote maybe.
Appointment of laborer in the Department of Public Works. Be resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Tarrytown does hereby appoint Jaime Romero to the position of laborer effective Wednesday, September 4th, 2019, at an annual salary of $50,355, subject to all civil service rules and regulations and subject to the provisions of the contract between the village and the CSEA.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Appointment of parking task force members. Whereas the Main Street Parking Management Plan is a comprehensive plan summary action item for the purpose of developing an implementation plan that results in a more efficient use of parking resources for the Main Street Business District and North Broadway corridor. And whereas that the work product is an integrated parking plan that will include the following. 1, define the geographic scope of analysis. 2, define the parking problems, that is where, when, and to whom inadequate parking occurs and for what types of trips. 3, develop a comprehensive evaluation framework, basic structure for analyzing options. 4, survey parking supply and demand. 5, develop and evaluate a list of potential solutions. And 6, develop an implementation plan, phasing, contingency, options, etc. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Tarrytown does hereby appoint the following as members of the Parking Task Force. David Kim, Chairperson, Tom Coughlin, Heather Reed, Tim Thayer, and myself. Be it further resolved that the following staff members are appointed as ex officio members only: Police Chief, the Village Administrator, and the Assistant Village Administrator.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, similarly, appointment of a housing affordability task force members. Whereas the Tarrytown Housing Committee is a comprehensive plan summary action item to provide the Village of Tarrytown with an understanding of existing housing supply, identify housing needs and trends to support current and future populations of the village, define opportunities within the existing stock and future developments, and with the tools available through land use planning, zoning, envisioned to incentivize and preserve integrated and affordable workforce and middle-income housing for the long-term benefit of the community. And now, therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Tarrytown does hereby appoint the following as members of the Tarrytown Housing Committee: Sadie McCowan, Chairperson; Rose Noonan, Alec Roberts, Peter Farrow, Craig Singer, and Trustees Brown and McGovern will be board representative and liaisons. Be it further resolved that the following staff members, village staff members, are appointed as ex officio members only: village engineer, building inspector, the village administrator, and assistant village administrator.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have settlement of litigation for the land purchase, Neprin Road, formerly known as the Citibank lot. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Tarrytown is hereby authorized the village administrator to sign a settlement agreement for the purchase of land on Neprin Road, a portion of the former Citibank lot, between the Village of Tarrytown and Citibank N.A., subject to the final approval by the village administrator and the village attorney.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Well, may I ask, are we, is this appropriate time to let everybody know what we've done, or it's not finalized yet?
Is now, it's not finalized yet.
No, it's not final
There's-
yet.
Once the deal is signed, then we can announce to the public what the total plan, agreement was.
Okay, great.
Okay. Rejection of a bid for the modifications to the salt shed. Whereas only one bid was received on August 16th, 2019 for the modification to the salt shed project and is listed below. Contractor PBS Construction LLC for a bid amount of $202,000. Whereas the bid was reviewed by the village superintendent of public works and the village engineer, and it is the Board of Trustees' recommendation to reject the sole bid and to rebid the project in the spring with adjustments in scope and time frame for the work to take place in an effort to solicit additional competitive bids. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Tarrytown does hereby reject the sole bid received for the modification to the salt shed project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, vehicle and traffic amendment, section 29170, Schedule V, U-turn prohibitions. Whereas on Main Street, from Broadway to Caldenberg Place, John Street, is a busy section of roadway with a large amount of vehicular and pedestrian foot traffic. There are many roadways in the area that motors can travel on from Main Street that will allow them to go around the block and return to Main Street in the opposite direction, thus removing the need for vehicles to make U-turns. The action of making a U-turn can be dangerous and also impede traffic. The reason for this code amendment is to improve traffic flow and to make the area safer for motorists and pedestrians. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Tarrytown does hereby authorize the following code change to section 29170, Schedule V, U-turn prohibitions, or Schedule 5. U-turn prohibitions, the new language is in bold print, which will be section 291.8 of the village code states, no person shall make a U-turn on any of the streets or parts of streets described in Schedule 5, section 29170. Attached to and made part of this chapter, section 29170 of the village code, Schedule V, 5 U-turn prohibitions, describes the name of the streets and locations where U-turns are prohibited. The following amendment should be made to section 29170. The new language is Main Street is the name of the street. The location is from Broadway to Caldenberg Place, John Street. So moved.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next.
Just, Drew, I just wanted to mention something. There was a terrible accident on Main Street this past weekend. I don't remember what day it was. Sunday. A person, an elderly person, was trying to park.
Parallel park.
Got a parallel park. Pretty much lost control of their vehicle. There are a lot of circumstances involved, but the police department are monitoring this. It's not associated with any U-turns, but we wanted to mention it for the record. We're very happy that
And nobody was
nobody,
seriously
thank
hurt.
God, nobody
And
was injured.
No pedestrians were hit.
Yeah, it's really remarkable. There were parents with children in the vicinity,
There were people that left.
people walking up and down the street. It was really pretty, so, thank goodness that nobody was injured.
Yeah, he backed across, right?
He backed onto the sidewalk completely,
And then flew across and hit the 7-Eleven wall
hit the 7-Eleven building, so,
and didn't hit anybody else somehow.
yeah, remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really was amazing, so.
But it wasn't a U-turn.
I just want to add on to the tail end of that. I think our fire department and our EMS did a great job on that, besides our local police department. All
Yes.
three agencies worked very well, and they worked very well together.
And that's exactly what we would hope,
Yeah.
all the village
response was
services
very
work.
quick. We had, it was controlled. Excellent job by our police, fire, and EMS.
Thank you, Bobby, I'll pass it on.
Sorry about that.
No, that's perfect, that's
Throw
great,
that in
thank you.
Okay. Vehicle and traffic amendment, business parking permits. Be it resolved that due to the lack of available parking on Main Street for merchants and their employees, and that the Citibank parking lot is presently underutilized, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Tarrytown does hereby approve business parking permits to be valid in the Neprin Road parking lot, also known as the Citibank parking lot. Be it further resolved that the following amendments should be made to section 29148, business permits are valid in the following municipal parking lots, subject to specific restrictions where applicable. The new language is E, Neprin Road parking lot, formerly Citibank lot, village parking spaces.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we're gonna schedule a public hearing, about chapter 205 landscaping, article 1, green industry contractors. Rich, you wanna just give a synopsis of this before?
Sure.
we do
The
resolution?
village has for many years, maybe even over 20, I think, had something in our village code
Maybe.
requiring landscapers to submit an annual report of the pesticides and herbicides that they apply here in the village of Tarrytown. Unfortunately, or, nevertheless, it's already provided for under the New York State DEC, so the Department of Environmental Conservation requires these reports and they get this. So if the village really, if our Environmental Advisory Committee wants to get this information, we can always foil it, but the village doesn't have the authority to do this. So we're looking to delete that section from the code.
And we weren't collecting it since, for who knows how long.
Correct, yeah.
It was in the code.
It was in the code for a long time.
Yeah. I think it's like 30 years.
Yeah, 25 years,
Yeah,
something like that.
25 plus years. So we're going to schedule a public hearing. Be it resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Tarrytown does hereby schedule a public hearing for the regular meeting of September 16th, 2019 at 8 p.m. in the Municipal Building, 1 Depot Plaza, Tarrytown, New York, to hear and consider a proposed amendment to the Code of the Village of Tarrytown, Chapter 205, Landscaping, Article 1, Green Industry Contractors, to delete the requirement for annual reports of pesticides and herbicides, which is regulated by the New York State DEC.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we're gonna have schedule another public hearing to amend various provisions of the village code to reflect the actual supervision and the Department of Public Works, correct? That's what this is about.
Correct.
To have, change the code to reflect what we're doing.
Correct.
In chapter 183, garbage, rubbish, and refuse, chapter 281, trees, chapter 101, building, chapter 259, streets and sidewalks. Be resolved that the Board of Trustees, I'm gonna read this all over again. That the Board of Trustees of the Village of Tarrytown does hereby schedule a public hearing for the regular meeting of September 16th, 2019 at 8 p.m. in the Municipal Building, 1 Depot Plaza, Tarrytown, New York, to hear and consider a proposed amendment to the Code of the Village of Tarrytown to reflect supervision in the Department of Public Works by the Superintendent of Public Works, and amending Chapter 183, garbage, rubbish, and refuse, Chapter 281, trees, Chapter 101, building, Chapter 259, streets and sidewalks, to reflect the Superintendent of Public Works' position to be responsible to enforce the village's rules and regulations of these chapters.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? And then we have the minutes. Be resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Tarrytown does hereby approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees held on August 19th, 2019, as submitted by the village clerk.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I wasn't here, I abstain. And the audited vouchers. Be it resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Tarrytown does hereby approve abstract number 4 of audited vouchers in the total amount of $1,149,502.90 as presented by the village treasurer. Have a
So
motion?
moved. Second.
All, those in favor?
Yes.
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 Yeah. And there are no members of the public here to address the board, so we will adjourn to executive session, and we will not return to the cameras. So thank you, and good night.
Good night, everybody.